This is my new single called Whole Head. Please enjoy. True. I really would like a more whole head. This is a song I wrote about using a video effect called Luma Key. That video editors, I'm sure, will be very familiar with. True, people. I would like a more whole head. I'm going to go ahead and turn the light off on our skeleton friend. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. This is the Brother Seamus Show. I'm your brother Seamus. That was my new track. And a little band called Ogo Pogo. Don't look for us anywhere anytime soon. Well, I shouldn't say don't look for us anywhere. I'll let you know when we drop something out there. We're going to drop like an EP maybe with 6 or 7 tracks. That was called Whole Head. It was an ode to video editing using the Luma key, which is how you layer video together, kind of like you're seeing in this image. Welcome to the show, everybody. I have my disco helmet on. I usually only wear it while I'm dancing, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it on right now because it's a little bit chilly in the studio today. Now, before we get started, I'm attempting to be a good journalist. And what does that mean, to be a good journalist? Well, I think it means that we should try to tell the truth, and we should try to always be as clear as possible. So let me be clear. Jesus was a refugee. That's not the slide I was looking for. It's a good one, and we'll come back to it. I agree with it mostly. The word refugee gets a little tricky sometimes, but let's see. Let's get rid of that. Let's find the other slide. Okay. At the end, well, not at the end, probably in the middle of the last show, I believe the title is No, Cindy, I Disagree, or You Are Wrong, or something like that. I was disagreeing with somebody leaving a message, which is fine. We disagree all the time. Nothing wrong with it. But she started suggesting that in some way I was discouraging people from getting emergency medical treatment. I think if we give her the benefit of the doubt, which I'm only half willing to do, she thought I was saying, you won't get treated. These women are dying. Therefore, don't go. And that's absolutely not what I'm saying. In fact, I'm saying almost the opposite, more than the opposite. If you are experiencing a complicated miscarriage, go directly to the emergency room immediately. And I would add to that, demand the standard of care. The standard of care, if you're having a complicated miscarriage, should be, as it has been for decades, a DNC, a dilation and curettage, which is a form of an abortion. There are 2 different medications that can be used for an abortion. There's a DNC, and then there's another kind of dilation procedure, and I'm not an OBGYN, so I don't remember. It's a D and something else. So let me just say this. If you are having an emergency, whether you wanted to keep the pregnancy going or not, whether you're trying to terminate the pregnancy with a medication abortion, if the miscarriage is not completing, my understanding is that you run a very high risk of infection and a very high risk of losing too much blood, not to mention excruciating pain. So if for no other reason, if you're in doubt, whether it's self-induced or not, if you're in doubt, go to the emergency room. And I want to make sure that last week's discussion didn't in any way encourage anyone to forego the emergency room. In fact, I think women in states like Georgia and Texas, Alabama, West Virginia, South Dakota, Iowa, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, Georgia. I already said Georgia. Alabama. I already said that. I think y'all should create a class action lawsuit. I think you should link arms across states because it'll make it a more powerful suit. And then the Supreme Court's going to have to reckon. It'll go right to the Supreme Court. If you get enough women in enough states to link arms, they will have together at a grassroots level, they will have the capacity to file. I mean, it takes so much money now to fight these things. So I think what I'm saying is link your arms together, get a lawsuit going. When they tell you you can't have a DNC, when they tell you can't have an abortion, keep in mind, they don't care whether you think abortion is right or wrong. They're simply saying the state has taken on a religious view now, and the state is threatening the doctors, and the doctors are scared to provide the standard of care for a complicated miscarriage. I'm not an OBGYN, but I know how to read. And you can read too. You can go to ProPublica.org and you can read about how we're now quietly killing women in the United States by denying them care. However, that does not mean you don't go to the emergency room. In fact, Candy Miller, I believe, died because she was afraid to go to the emergency room. And that's a preventable death, people. If you're so afraid to go to the emergency room because of what the government is saying to you, that they're going to get you, they're going to sue you, they're going to jail you, and doctors are scared too. Doctors also need to link arms and get a legal defense fund going just for physicians, OBGYNs and emergency surgeons or whoever is doing the procedure. And you should protect yourselves. I think the fancy word is indemnify. You should indemnify yourselves. Hire a real law firm, by the way. Don't try to do this yourselves. You're not attorneys. You're physicians. Hire an attorney to indemnify you for lost wages and legal costs, all legal costs. You shouldn't be faced with it one penny. This is a direct attack on physicians. It's a direct attack on science, and they're trying to do it quietly. And they're getting away with they from what we can see immediately after Roe versus Wade was repealed. Is that the right way to put it? Squashed, quashed, whatever you want to say. When it was taken away, when legal abortion across the country was taken away at a national level, young women started dying because they stopped getting the kind of treatment they needed for miscarriages. They almost immediately started dying. And that's on Donald Trump and the extreme anti-abortion judges that he appointed. And that's what your brother Seamus is going to talk about almost all the time because I feel like it's the right thing to do. What else am I going to do? I'm going to play some music by a young fella named Zud, X-U-D. Zud's over on Dronescape. Zud's over on Something TV on YouTube. Something Television on YouTube. You can find Zud. He's a contributing artist there. I'm going to give you a look at it here in a second. There's Zud right there. I think you can both see it. I'm coming at you live on YouTube. I'm coming at you live on YouTube and TikTok, and we're getting a call. Call is coming in. Yes, go ahead, caller.
Hello, please.
Hang on one sec. I got to get my headphones on. I can't talk to a caller with no headphones
regarding
on.
your Google business account.
Hold
Searches
on,
for your business
please.
via Google and Google Voice.
Hang
Clients are
on.
currently
I'm
having
coming.
trouble
I'm coming to the
finding you.
phone.
Press 1 to
I'm
speak
coming
with
to the
an
phone.
agent immediately and verify your Google listing. Again, your business is not showing correctly on Google and Google Voice Search. Press 1 to speak to an agent.
Oh, somebody's calling
Press 2
me.
or dial 877-556-9255 to opt out.
Well, that's not a very exciting phone call. Oh, they hung up. They're gone, people. They're gone. What are we going to do? We're going to have to turn DroneScape back on. I'll be curious to hear the quality of the audio of that call. It took me a minute to switch over, but I did it. I'm going to go for about 90 minutes today, folks, and I'll try to keep it at this level, mostly. I have this fantasy that this show will be experienced the way that people used to watch public access TV late at night in the 90s, where it can lull you to sleep, or you can hang out with your friends and have a conversation. You can talk about, is social media toxic? And why is this guy on social media if social media is so toxic? Well, there are a couple answers to that question. The most fun answer is irony. I enjoy irony. I really do. Some people might say, but Brother Seamus. They might say, you're telling people to get off of social media, which means they'll stop watching your show. And I'm saying, yes. Yes, now you get it. Nobody should be getting their information about abortion from a guy on social media. And yet here I am, backed into a corner where I have to do it. Because I know y'all are out here getting your information from bad sources. So I'm going to try to be a good source, and at the same time try to get you to think about not being on social media at all. I don't know if I can do that. But as long as you're here, folks, let's try to get some accurate information. There's quite a bit of information that social media is bad for young adults, but that's because that's where all the research is focused. I would argue it's bad for grown adults too. How? Well, we continually, and we have been for whenever Facebook started, we've been telling them our personal information. Not just directly through signing up for Facebook or any social media, but we've been selling them our behavioral patterns. Like if you're watching this show and you stay on it longer because my voice is calmer, the algorithm will notice. They'll notice that I did that. And then they'll target this message toward people that like this feeling. And I'm not saying that in itself is bad. It's just very targeted. It's a very powerful targeting system. So what if I want to sell an idea? What if I want to convince people that Mexicans are all rapists and murderers? I would never do that, but what if I was the kind of person that would? Wouldn't I target people that are most vulnerable to believing it? So that's what I mean when I say it's toxic. I hope we can all get away from getting any of our information from social media, and I think we should derive mostly only entertainment and the name of that new restaurant and art and mom and pop businesses who want to sell their stuff directly. We don't need news on here. And if you're going to do news on here, you have to be held to the same standards as a news organization. Like when Fox News got their asses handed to them for lying about the 2020 election. They did. They got whacked for, I forget what, $800 million for lying. Because Trump told them to lie, and they did, and then they got whacked because they can be held accountable. This right here, this smooth cup of coffee we call social media that you and I are enjoying right now, there's no culpability. You really can't sue the social media companies. They arranged it that way because the oligarchs got in the Senate and they said, hey, make sure we get off the hook if somebody joins ISIS and goes and commits misguided, mentally vulnerable suicide. You can't sue us. That's what little Marky Mark Zuck figured out. And the Senate was happy to comply. It was Democrats and Republicans. Everybody gets the blame. You and I get the blame too, because you know what we were doing? We were on Facebook telling them everything. I don't like that article. I don't like that article. Bam, angry face, angry face, angry face. They love your angry face. They love it. You know why? It turns out that's the most engaging. If I understand my reading correctly, and y'all should read about it when you can. I know most of you won't, so I'm going to try to bring it here and talk about it in an honest way. But what little Marky Mark Zuck figured out, folks, he figured out that if they upset you, that keeps you more engaged. That's what Marky Mark figured out. And they're like, oh, so if you want to say that Hillary Clinton did some horrible thing because you want people to hate her, let's target people that would get angry and upset. Or when they see an article, they go, some of it on the algorithm is constantly fishing. It's fishing to know you. And when they find out that you or your husband or your son or your weird cousin get all jacked up, angry like they snorted too much blue meth, that's when Facebook has them. And I would argue, having been a psychologist for 30 freaking years, there's enough people in our population that can be manipulated that way through fear and disgust. They like to get the disgust going, That's how they attack trans people. They try to get trans people to be thought of as disgusting, because disgust is a pretty powerful primal feeling. And what they're hoping is that it lights up your amygdala enough that you'll take some action against these vulnerable groups. How is anyone threatened by trans people? That's the theme of today's show. Your business. That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's the question for today. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. To me, how? How is someone else's body your business? Your business. That's the part I don't understand. So let's get down to answering that question today. We can also talk about abortion, because I'll always bring up abortion as long as there are states that are telling women that their complicated miscarriage that's all I'm saying. Can't be treated. Because a group of state legislators and the governors, like Brian Kemp, Greg Abbott, Kay Ivey, and the attorney generals like Ken Paxton, they intentionally scare the doctors. In Texas, you know what they're giving them? They're threatening I'm not saying they would actually be able to sentence a doctor to 99 years, but apparently they wanted the law to be that scary. So if you're a doctor and you're not sure, and I think I think the laws were written vaguely on purpose. That's my own conspiracy theory. It's hard to prove something like that, right? But I think they wrote the laws, the abortion laws, the trigger laws, some people call them. If you hear somebody say that, it just means that was an abortion law that was already in the gun, and all, it was locked and loaded. They just had to pull the trigger on it. So what I think they did is they made those laws so vague that a doctor and even a hospital attorney would look at that and say, we don't know if you should do the DNC or not. We don't know if this woman deserves care. But they're in direct contradiction with not only the physician's Hippocratic oath, but they're in direct contradiction with one of the most basic guarantees of the Constitution. For all of you people that think you're saving constitutional rights of undeveloped humans, the living mother, the human that's been tasked with bringing this entity into being, her life matters too, right? Because what they've done now is they've said, well, you can give her an abortion if her life's at risk. I think that's how people understand it. But the reality is, the doctors aren't sure how they can prove that. And Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, he's a special guy. He's a real special dude. He threatened them directly in a letter. And you can read it yourselves. I might even pull it up here today. Just Google Ken Paxton's threatening letter to, well, maybe don't say threatening letter. Ken Paxton's letter about physicians performing abortions. It's not good. Looks like we have another caller. Let me...
This is Cliff at the Kent County Road Commission. I
Hello,
just want to
Cliff.
thank you for the service that you're doing for free on the internet. We got a lot of guys out on the road right now clearing all the ice and snow so people can get home safely. And
thank you. Thank you,
the
Cliff.
free entertainment and spiritual guidance that you're providing the citizens of Kent County is greatly appreciated. Thank you for drawing some recognition to all of that. And just want to let you know your YouTube signal is working correctly, and we are receiving it loud and clear. So again,
thank
keep
you,
up the
Cliff.
good work, and God bless you, boys.
Thank you. That was very nice. That was Cliff from the Road Commission letting us know. We got a little bit of snow happening, folks, in Walla Walla, Washington. We enjoy our snow. Turns to rain too quickly, if you ask me. Turns to rain a little too quickly. So I consider this message kind of a public service message. And I think anyone that lives in a state, any woman who has a friend, a mother, a sister, a cousin, a neighbor that is pregnant or becomes pregnant, remember, pregnancy is a dicey business. You don't have to be a scientist to know that. About 1 out of 8 to 1 out of 10 women will experience a miscarriage through no fault of their own. I mean, I don't think they even try to figure out what causes them so much. I mean, certainly they do, but there are so many reasons a miscarriage can happen. It doesn't necessarily, there's not a great demand to find out specifically what caused it, because it can just be genetic. Maybe the particular sperm that found its way into the particular ovum that day, that fortuitous day, that may or may not have been planned or wanted. But let's say the genetics don't match up very well, and that the embryo is not healthy enough to grow or implant properly, whatever it might be. So the miscarriage happens, but if it doesn't happen and complete itself naturally, a woman's life can be at risk. A lot of people have commented so far that one guy, for example, my mother had 5 miscarriages, I think one person commented. And that's fine, I believe it. Sometimes people are more prone to miscarriages. And that's fine. And a lot of times they resolve themselves. In a small number, a lot of people will also argue that, oh, you are talking about very few women. And I would say, well, maybe, but are we going to let women suffer and die, even if it's a small number of them? That's why I've started calling it it's a quiet genocide, right? It's a quiet genocide. And it upsets people because I'm implying directly, and I mean it, that until consciousness develops, there's nobody at home. It's like an airplane with no pilot. And yes, I know that upsets people to hear that. And I'm not trying to cause distress. I just think we need to calm down and think it through a little bit. And it really does get people upset. We had a woman last time who then went on to say that I was or she went on to imply that I was discouraging people from going to the emergency room. And I want to make sure that has been completely cleared up. And it looks like my keyboard died on me, people. How could such a thing happen? Well, now it's back to life, partially. Partially back to life, people. So if you are someone that's experiencing a difficult miscarriage, please go. Please go to the emergency room. And then stick up for yourselves. Bring somebody with you to stick up for you. I'm not saying you do anything violent or aggressive or threatening. I'm saying you say to whoever your caregiver is, say, look, if I am having a miscarriage and I need a D&C, I know that that's the standard of care and I want it immediately. I don't want to be told I have to wait. Because the way they trick you and the way they've killed a couple of these women, I think all of them, I mean, it came down to that they waited too long and then their bodies couldn't keep up anymore. The thing you do is you say, I know that's my standard of care and I have a right to right to my own life as guaranteed in the Constitution, right? And as soon as you mention that you have rights, and you can also say, and I would recommend saying it immediately to the nurse or whoever's checking you in, I'm not mad at you, and I'm not crazy, but I have a right to a standard of care. And so I would like to see the hospital advocate preventively. I'm not filing a complaint, but I'd like to see the hospital advocate, the patient advocate. You do have rights. And now you can do this by yourself, but a lot of times, and again, I'm no expert. I'm a psychologist, all right? I don't have any training in OBGYN. I did grow up in a house with a mother who was a labor and delivery nurse, so I learned a lot. A lot of crazy stories about women in labor. And one thing I know, whether it's a miscarriage or a full-term labor, it can be excruciatingly painful. You may not be able to defend yourself being there by yourself. And this is where I think humans with uteri, need to link arms right now, because it's getting scary. And it's thrown us back to this idea, just like in the 60s, where to go, you'll have to go now there'll be underground abortion houses now. That's what they've done. By they, I mean governors like Brian Kemp, Greg Abbott, Kay Ivey, and attorney generals like Ken Paxton, what they're doing is they're going to create a situation that's so dangerous that women will be scared to go to the hospital and doctors will be scared to perform abortions. And that, my friends, I'm sad to say, was the plan all along. That was their plan. It's a form of state-sponsored, I guess terrorism is maybe kind of strong, but it's getting there, isn't it? It's getting there. Our job is to non-violently, democratically oppose this, but it does mean that doctors are going to get threatened with prosecution. Well, they're already threatened. For those of you just joining us, doctors in Texas can be jailed for up to 99 years. Let me say it more specifically. If you perform an abortion in Texas, I suppose it would apply to a nurse, midwife, or a PA, you could get up to 99 years. So what happens? The doctors freak out, as they well should. They have a right to freak out. I would freak out if they said psychologists could go to prison for 99 years for providing the standard of care. How about that? Not for doing anything wrong, but for violating a state law based on an extreme belief, an extreme religious belief that life starts at conception. And that belief is not shared by most humans. It's shared by a lot of humans. And it causes a certain amount of cognitive dissonance, because I know most of the Catholics I grew up with would have to say that they don't support abortion. But then if you said, but do you support putting women in such a dangerous situation where they could bleed out because they're waiting for the fetal heartbeat to go away? Which is what happened to Nevaeh Crane in Texas, 18-year-old, her first pregnancy. She was very excited from what I can see. You can read about it yourselves. It's all covered at ProPublica. And the link, if you're watching us on YouTube, there's a link in the description of this episode. And I just usually mark my episodes by date. Today's the 17th of December, 2024. The United States, through the direct result of Supreme Court appointments by one Donald John Trump, has now lost, for women in about 20 states, we've lost 50 years of reproductive rights in one go. Because a reality show host decided that he could run the government, and a whole bunch of rich people helped him. And now, surprise, surprise, who's taking it on the chin? Women in states that are controlled by extreme religious beliefs. How about that? Look where we are. How about that? Let me put on my reading spectacles, and I'll get to some of the comments here in a minute. You're enjoying some Zud, Dronescape number 8. You can find Zud over on YouTube, Something Television. You can follow us on YouTube or TikTok. If you want to watch broadcasts from earlier, I'm not storing them on TikTok because it's a big pain in the ass to store longer videos there. I won't. Oh, Cindy's back again. Hi, Cindy. I didn't see you in there. Miscarriage treatment is legal in all states. Yeah, but Cindy, we still have the same problem. Let's see if anybody else has commented. I'll get back to you, Cindy, I promise. I'm not going away. All right, so it's just Cindy commenting. So Cindy, before we go too deep into this, I don't want to make too much of an effort to explain it to you if you are actually just being facetious. I think you're actually probably Either you're a true agent of chaos, in which case you'll drive my numbers up, or you're somebody that genuinely believes that miscarriage treatment is available. And I would agree with you in a sense. It's available. Are you going to get it? And then you still have to tell us why these 5 women died in Texas and Georgia. If it's available, why did they withhold it from them? And could it happen to you? And Cindy, I hope you saw my response, because I think in a way you were trying to spread your own misinformation, Cindy. As if I'm trying to stop people from seeking their miscarriage treatment. Any woman that's experiencing anything, even if you're not sure if it's a miscarriage, you should go to the emergency room. I was raised by a nurse, a scientifically minded nurse, and you should avail yourself of the best treatment options immediately. You don't wait. So, Cindy, that's another thing you don't seem to be able to respond to is, are they making women wait because they're scared? And the answer is yes. So, Cindy, if you don't mind, let me know if you're for real or are you just a jackal bot that's been hired by right-wing forces. Or do you really believe what you're saying? I guess that's what I'm trying to be genuine and try to ask you if you really believe what you're saying. Thanks for joining, everybody. It looks like somebody joined from Short Videos. Castle. I like that that's a thing. So you can catch us live on TikTok and Something Television. If you want to watch the episode over and listen to it, you'll have to go to YouTube at Brother Seamus Show. Let me give you a look at it. Let me give you a look at what the Brother Seamus Show looks like over on YouTube. So that's what our YouTube page looks like at the moment. I think you can see my cursor in the output. But anyway, that's the human brain there below the banner, just to the left of the name, the Brother Seamus Show. That's the human brain, and it's a drawing showing how from the thalamus to the top of the cortex, those 3 pathways, I'm sure it's more than 3, that's where consciousness happens. So until your brain has that hardware that you're seeing right there, I don't think I can make it bigger, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try, people, with all my gusto. Oh. No, that's as big as it's going to let me get it, I think. So you see those pathways going from the thalamus deep in the brain, the light-colored piece of the brain going to the surface. That's the thalamocortical connections. Once those connections are made, you have a conscious being. Prior to that, there's nobody home. And I know people don't like that, and they find it upsetting, I think, in a way. But if you want to talk about it and you want to think about it and you want to keep an open mind, then please follow the Brother Seamus Show. Now, we'll talk about other stuff, too. We'll talk about racism from a psychologist's point of view. We'll talk about why people are so afraid of trans people. It's a trick. It's a con. It's been around for years. So if you want to comment, we don't have to just talk about abortion. Let's talk about trans today. There's nothing like a good pee break to help your thinking come clear. So, going back to Cindy's comments, so Cindy's saying miscarriage treatment is available, and I don't totally disagree with you, Cindy. I think miscarriage treatment has to be available. What they've done is they've decided no more D&C, right? So if you're telling the truth, Cindy, then please tell me this. Is the most effective and safest method available? Or are they saying, like they did to one of the women that I've talked about, are they saying, well, you can get miscarriage treatment, but only through a pill, and only after we see that the heartbeat's not there? Right? I think that's where we're at, Cindy. I don't think Cindy's here anymore. Which is okay. It's okay. So, what do y'all think? You don't have to comment. This is one of those shows. So Cindy's claiming miscarriage treatment is legal in all states, but abortion is not legal in all states, right? Not anymore. Not since Roe v. Wade left. Some states say they make an exception for the health of the mother. And I believe Georgia and Texas both say they make an exception, but they don't tell you how to meet that exception. And what Cindy's doing here is trying to trick you a little bit. Miscarriage treatment is legal in all states. Yeah, but you might need a D&C because there are about, from what I understand, about 4 different miscarriage treatments. So they'll say we can't give you anything, or we can't do any D&C, but we'll give you this medication, and then it doesn't work. And how do I know that? I'm not an OBGYN. How do I know that the expert OBGYN researchers tell you that the D&C is the method of choice because it allows the uterus to close and stop bleeding, and it gets rid of any fetal tissue that may cause the infection that leads to sepsis. And I believe in one case, they wouldn't even give the woman the medication abortion. Because what I think Cindy's trying to do here is to say that miscarriage treatment's available. And what I'm saying is some of it's available. Maybe only the medication. And you know what it'll depend upon? It'll depend upon the hospital, what they've told their physicians to do or not do. And it'll depend upon the physician, because ultimately the hospitals will throw the physicians under the bus. They already have started. They interviewed one hospital and they said, well, the doctors make their own decisions, so, don't blame us. Don't prosecute us. But let's not just be negative. I think women have to join arms. I think you're going to have to provide each other cover and support. And I think, yes, I agree with Cindy. Miscarriage treatment is available, but you're going to need to demand remember the phrase, everybody? It'll be on the exam, the standard of care. You need to say to them, look, if my life is at risk and you're going to make me wait for hours, then I will sue you. And don't say it like, you're mad and you're throwing shit across the room, because that never convinces anybody of anything. And you know how I know that? Oh shoot, I lost my headphone signal, people. I lost my microphone signal. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, something's wrong. Something's wrong, everybody. I'm going to pause Dronescape. I don't think you can hear me. All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Something just... my audio just turned off mysteriously, and I apologize. I hope that wasn't too loud. Let's bring back. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. Explain to me how is someone else's body your business? Your business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. That's the part I don't understand. How is somebody else's body your business? How? Your business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me. Let me check the comments. Now, it's really more fun. We can do the comments thing, right? But it's really more fun if you call at 509-676-6032. But don't feel any pressure. I'm glad Cindy's back. I think she's wrong. I'm not repeating misinformation, Cindy. I'm reporting what's happened. It is illegal. Let me answer Cindy's comment another way, too, because she's saying, for those of you on YouTube, you can't see her comments, but she's saying it's not legal, or it's not illegal to get treated for miscarriage. And she's correct about that. It's not. But it is illegal. It's also, at the same time, it is illegal to perform an abortion in those states. So what does the doctor do? Especially after they receive a threatening letter. From the Attorney General threatening them, right? Did I lose my YouTube stream? I think I lost my YouTube stream. Let's see where it went. All right, I'm going to try to go live again. I guess if I'm going live right now, it won't let me go live again. Maybe it will. I guess we'll call this part 2, maybe. Or maybe this is part 3. (509-676-6032). 509-676-6032. I've lost my connection again. Check it out. Your business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. Your business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. Your business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. Business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. Business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. Business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. How. Listen to me. How. Your business. How is someone else's body your business? That's the part I don't understand. How is someone's body your business? That's all I'm saying. Explain to me how. This is one of the newer cases. Fortunately, this woman did not die. But if you're in the military, you should read this. If you're a woman in the military who might get pregnant, Elizabeth Nakagawa. So Cindy, if you're watching, if you're reading, or what have you, one of the ways you can tell you're dealing with real journalism is they use full names. They get people to go on the record. This woman told her story on the record. She's a real person. You can verify. They mention other people by name, by rank, by job. That's what real journalism does. You may not like what they're saying, but if they can identify real human beings that said these things, that doesn't mean you can't report anonymously. A lot of people are not comfortable, but I'm just saying, look at this. This is real journalism, people. You have to be able to recognize it. Elizabeth Nakagawa was put through, I'm just going to summarize the articles. She was put through a whole bunch of bullshit because she needed a DNC. So when Cindy gets on the comments and says, well, this is how I imagine her saying it. Well, miscarriage treatment is available at all hospitals. Yeah? What about a woman in the military who needs a DNC and then they tell her that she has to wait, and she has to wait until she starts to get in really serious trouble? Now, in fairness, TRICARE, which is the military hospital insurance program, which I don't know how that works, but it should just be the U.S. Military Veterans Hospital. Maybe it is. Maybe they just call it TRICARE. Anyway, she hemorrhaged. Elizabeth Nakagawa hemorrhaged for 4 more hours before they performed the surgery that TRICARE had refused to authorize. So that's another way. And it's not that TRICARE is trying to be evil. TRICARE is trying to understand the law too. And they almost killed Elizabeth by making her wait so long. You don't have a lot of time, is what I'm learning. When you're having a serious miscarriage event, you don't have a lot of time, people. So let's not split hairs here. Let's not split hairs, people. In that case, fortunately, Elizabeth did not die, but it's an instructive story, especially if you're in the military. I would read it. I put the link in my profile page on YouTube for this episode. I think it's in there. Let me make sure it's in there. And if you're watching on TikTok, I did put the link in the comments. Or if you want to just follow us over on YouTube, that way you'll have access to all the... I'm not trying to trick you, but you'll have access to all the episodes. It doesn't seem like it wants me to see. Okay, so look for that article if you're in the military and you want to know what you're up against. And it sounds like, if I read the article correctly, it sounds like TRICARE is is making an effort to make sure this kind of confusion doesn't keep happening. But you should be prepared. And let me be clear. Let me be as clear as I can be. If you're in doubt, if you're having a miscarriage, the one thing I agree with Cindy about is you should go to the hospital. You should definitely go to the hospital. Don't be shocked if when you get to the hospital, they try to slow walk you or delay you, and you should tell them right away that that's not going to work. Bring a friend with you. Okay. And tell them you want the standard of care, and tell them that you will talk to an attorney if they screw with you. There's nothing wrong with letting people know that you will litigate. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all, people. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. The music you're hearing is called Dronescape number 8. Dronescape number 8 by Zud. If you're just joining us, there was a young lady named Cindy who's trying to argue that miscarriage treatment is legal in all states, and technically that's true. But the reality is 5 women have died, and Cindy won't explain how they died. She tried to say yesterday or the day before, I think it was on Sunday, she tried to argue that those cases aren't true. And what I would say is go to the link in my description if you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok. Go to the comment section. You'll find a link to ProPublica. I'm not affiliated with them. I just read their articles, and it makes perfect sense what they're saying, and I think you should read their articles too. You might decide, oh, I don't know. I think what they're going to try to argue is like, oh, these women might have died anyway. The DNC wouldn't have saved them, but their case is going to fail, because when a jury hears about how you made a healthy 18-year-old girl wait 20 hours and you sent her home twice, and you didn't even diagnose, you diagnosed her with strep throat and you sent her home. And somebody commented, and they were correct, but they're like, well, that is malpractice. And I would say, yeah, it is, except the state is ordering them not to provide the standard of care. So what does the doctor do then? Does the doctor provide the standard of care? When the doctor sees Nevaeh, does he say her pregnancy is no longer viable? This undeveloped human is not going to develop properly. This pregnancy has gone off the rails, and now her life's in danger. We should at least save her life. Right? But they don't. They don't. They made her wait. And then I guess sepsis, I don't understand sepsis. If you do, please call in. I don't understand how it works so fast, because of what they said in the case. In Nevaeh's case, this is Nevaeh Crane out of Texas, who died while waiting for proper miscarriage treatment. They said she was experiencing multiple organ failure. So this otherwise healthy young woman, 18, who's now having a miscarriage, and yes, it was probably, I want to say it was around the 5-6 month mark, but she's miscarrying. They cannot save the fetus. The fetus is not viable, but they made her wait. They made her wait because the doctors are scared. Now, you might get a brave doctor who says, we're not frickin' waiting. And you know what? That's what I would ask for. If I was in there with someone I cared about, and this is what I want all of you to think about, and I'm just telling you this from an advocacy point of view, don't be afraid to bring up the idea that you will litigate, that you're a risk. You're a litigation risk. You can even say that to them. And you can say, I want you to know that if I don't get the standard of care, if you violate your Hippocratic oath, number one, and you violate the standard of care, which has a fancy acronym associated with it, but basically, if you know I need treatment, if you know my daughter needs treatment and you don't give it, we'll sue you. And you have to deal with Ken Paxton and Greg Abbott and Brian Kemp and the states who will come after you. let's link arms across states, file a lawsuit on behalf of women who are being denied treatment. Yes, even if it's only a small number of women. How many is acceptable? Because what it looks like is it is pretty rare, but it's not that rare. Within a few months of Roe versus Wade being overturned, Amber Thurman died. Within just a few months. And that was in one state. So maybe it's only 100 or so women per year, per state. That's 100 lost women for no reason. It'd be one thing if we didn't know how to save them. If we as a society are doing our best and we can't save somebody, then there's no fault in that. But if we know how to save them and we don't, and then we say, oh, it's not that many, only a few hundred in each state, well, then we're looking at thousands of women per year. My guess would be it's in the tens of thousands if this continues. Or, God forbid, a national ban happens. So I want you to look out for your fellow travelers, let's just say. Look out for your fellow travelers. Make sure they have support. Any and all pregnant women, if you have a family member or a friend that's pregnant and you live in Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, North and South Carolina, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, at least South Dakota, maybe also North Dakota. If you live in any of those states, I would link arms and I would provide as much emotional support for that person as you can muster, and maybe financial support as well. Because maybe you can help them go to a better place. And if not, because sometimes, from what I can see here, these women don't, at best, they've got 72 hours to figure this out. Nevaeh died after about 20 hours. She didn't even make it the full 24. She didn't even make it a full day, I'm saying. I think Amber was made to wait in the waiting room for about 15 hours, and then her organs started to shut down. Amber herself seemed to know she was dying and told her mother to take care of her son. Can you imagine that? You're sitting there, there's treatment available, and you're not getting that treatment because it might be illegal, quote unquote. Why does the state of Georgia, for example, have the right to violate Amber's personal right to life? Why does the state get to violate your constitutional right to stay alive? It's the right we don't even really talk about because it's the most basic. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not we're going to let you die in favor of a partially developed fetus that can't survive outside your body anyway. The fetus gets more legal clout. And otherwise healthy young women die. That's what we've done here. That's the work of Donald John Trump. And he had a lot of help with toxic social media, right? I mean, that's part of my main thing here. It's not just about abortion. It's about they can convince you to be afraid of Mexicans because you read an article and you smashed the angry face. Or you kept reading it. They also know how long you pay attention to things, and then they feed you more things that upset you. Mexicans are no different than Americans. They want to take care of their families. They want their kids to be safe. They want to send their kids to college if they can. They'd love it if their kids could afford their own house. The Mexicans aren't the problems, people. It's social media convincing you that they're dangerous by highlighting individual acts of violence. Of course there are criminals in Mexico. There's criminals in the United States. They want you to be afraid of trans people, which is what? 1% to 2% of the population at most? Trans people are the threat? Are you serious? They don't want you to see all the reports and all the articles about police officers being charged with rape and assault, white men being charged with rape and assault, pastors being charged with rape and assault. They don't want you to read that. They want you to be afraid of trans people in the bathroom. And they're using social media to push your amygdala. That's the little button-sized organ in your brain. It's about the size of a pea, I think. And it tells you to be afraid and there's a threat. There's a threat present. They lie to you about guns being taken away. There's never been an attempt to repeal the Second Amendment that's ever gone anywhere. In fact, I don't think one's even been introduced. It'd take 2/3 of the House and Senate, and it would take 3/4 of the state to repeal the Second Amendment. Nobody's taking your guns away. They just want people who are violent and dangerous to not get guns. We want to have a chance to figure out who the school shooters are before we give them an AK or an AR. But people with lots and lots of money get you all worked up, and social media is their best tool. That's my whole thing. This is their best tool to get you. Is it hypocritical of me to be on here? Yep. I consider it high irony. But the fact is, I'm not going to reach people anywhere else. This is where they are. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you this. A lot of people are vulnerable to emotional arguments. And then the last thing, you know what really kicks it in the ass is that Americans are bad at voting. We're really bad at voting. We're like 31st in the world. You can't run a safe, healthy democracy when more than 1/3, 36% of people sat home. 36%? Now, that doesn't mean they would have all voted for a non-con artist. But the higher the turnout, you know what starts to happen? More extreme candidates, more extreme groups start to lose power. But we got to get up into the 80% range, people. We're not cutting it down here at 62, 63%. It's pathetic. I've got a poll going asking what's the best country at voting. There's 19 seconds left. As soon as it's over, I'm going to give you the correct answer. Let's see if it lets me vote. No. The correct answer is D, people. Uruguay. Uruguay is the correct answer. They're number one at voting. They made it. The question said, which democratic nation is best at voting? Here, let me drag it over here so you can see it. Which democratic nation is best at voting? USA, Sweden, Portugal, Uruguay, or Texas? The answer is Uruguay, people. I'm not rerunning the poll. I want the polls to go away. TikTok tries to force me to run polls, and I'm just not into it, people. Just not into it. Not today. Abortion saves women. Let's keep that in our heads, people. Is it weird to hope that a telemarketer calls? I think that's what happened earlier. Is I only got one phone call today, and I think it was a telemarketer, and I would have surreptitiously brought them onto the show because I think that would have been funny. But they hung up. They hung up before I could get to them, people. I do my best. I hope you're joining. I realize my mic is probably too quiet and the music's probably too loud right now. So I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to go to advanced properties. I think when my mic was cutting out earlier, it had something to do with the looping pedal. Let's see if the looping pedal's still working. That's all I'm saying. Yep, there they are. Explain me how. So we didn't really talk about trans rights too much. We got sidetracked on abortion, which I usually do, so I'm not surprised. If you are having an emergency, please is someone else's body get to the hospital. That could also, I don't understand. This idea that how somebody else's body is your business also applies to abortion. It's the woman's body. The fetus cannot survive outside of the woman's body until much later in the pregnancy. I know people don't like that's called the viability argument. But the viability argument is a good argument. It's a good argument, people. It's her body, this potential person that's growing and will someday be a full person. Someday, when it has consciousness, when its thalamus sprouts the nerves that grow, they send their, I forget, is it the axons or the dendrites, and they grow up to the cortex. And now you've got a person that's kind of aware that they're a person. Prior to that, it's essentially like a person who's had a terrible brain injury and they're no longer conscious. And it does happen, and it can be awful for family and friends, but most of us understand when that happens. Most of us understand that person's gone. And it's kind of the same thing when you're coming in on the other side, people. Until there's a pilot to fly the plane, this idea that, well, the fetus is reacting to cold or sound. Oh, I'm not lively enough. Let's see if it'll let me move this over. Can I move this? TikTok gets mad at me once per show for not moving around. It thinks I'm not on camera because I'm not doing full screen. All right. I'll go back to full screen for a minute. That'll make TikTok happy. You see, TikTok, I am moving. YouTube doesn't care if I'm moving. God bless them. Let me pay some bills, people. If you want to support Brother Seamus, and I strongly recommend it, please go to bonfire.com/Humans for Democracy. That's our merch site. That's Brother Seamus's merch site. And I think you'll enjoy it. You can get a mug. My most recent edition is a mug that says Proud Snowflake, because that is what I am. I'm a proud snowflake. And if you have someone in your life, even if you're not a proud snowflake, although probably you are, if you're watching this show for more than 5 minutes, you're probably a proud snowflake. Or you're using it as a form of soft ASMR to get to sleep at night. So bonfire.com, they're the merch site. our brand over here is called Humans for Democracy. You can get a Proud Snowflake two-tone mug, people. There's a link in the bio in TikTok and YouTube, and I believe there might be one over on Instagram as well. I try to put the videos out there, but mostly YouTube is the only place that can handle such long-winded videos. I just heard my coffee come up, so I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to get off the air. You can buy this t-shirt on bonfire.com/humans for democracy. This t-shirt says, "Immigrants make great Americans," and there's a little white dove, I think it's supposed to be. It's a clip art. This is one of the first t-shirts I ever designed. I did it on Bonfire. I'm not affiliated with them, but if they want me to rep for them, let me know. I'm very happy. There's only a couple complaints I have about Bonfire, but immigrants make great Americans is what the t-shirt says, and you can get it in all the styles of t-shirts, which I did not even know how many frickin' styles there were. Any money that we make on this program, any and all money, will go to help, improve equipment on the show, of course, but it will also go towards running social media ads where we push the idea that young women having miscarriages should get the standard of care. They should be treated immediately. Right? Can we all agree on that? Can we agree on the standard of care? That's all I'm asking. No comments today on YouTube. That's kind of par for the course on YouTube, and that's okay. I accept it. I kind of like having not too many comments to deal with. Cindy was throwing a bit of a half-truth at you today. I want to call attention to Cindy's comment one last time. She said, miscarriage treatment is available. And I have two questions. One is, if that's true, then why are women dying in certain instances? And are they withholding the miscarriage treatment? And Cindy, don't take this personally. Don't call me dude. Dude, you're repeating misinformation. It's not illegal to get treated for miscarriage. Never was. It's ironic, Cindy, that in accusing me of repeating misinformation, you're actually misinforming the audience. Technically, those bills allow for exceptions for the life of the mother. But if a woman needs a DNC and she can't get one, well, what do we have there? Is miscarriage treatment really available? Maybe, if you get lucky. If you get a doctor that understands what's happening. But that isn't always the case. That isn't always the case, oh Cindy. It isn't always the case. So we will run ads. What I meant to say is we will run ads on social media encouraging everyone to support women's reproductive health care and pushing the idea that a seed is not an apple, an egg is not a chicken, and a partially developed fetus shouldn't have more rights than a young woman who is either bleeding out or septic. That's mainly what we're about here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I hope everyone's well. I hope whether we agree or we disagree, that we learn to talk to each other respectfully. It's hard. I don't always do it correctly. I don't always do it. I'm always willing to hear people out as long as I think they're being genuine. But if they're running a game, if they're running a con, then away with you. I'll be back. I've gone an hour 41, which I'd like to stop at an hour 30, but I'm still getting used to this game, this live streaming game. It's a little more confusing going on YouTube and TikTok at the same time, but I get a lot more joiners on TikTok. I get a lot more people that seem to want to listen. So if you are listening on TikTok and this is helping you fall asleep at night, I am going to start doing some late night lives where I just show up around midnight and maybe go till 1 or 1:30. And I think that might be a good way to go. And we can talk about whatever you want. I really hope you'll follow me over on YouTube. And I want to say thanks again to Zud. I want to say thanks again to Zud. Let me slide Zud over so you can take a look at. Zud is on a channel on YouTube that I created called Something Television. It looks like that. Oh wait, you're not seeing it on YouTube, are you? Well, let's do it over here. We'll do it over here. This is Zud, Dronescape, on Something Television. Zud's an electronic musician. So follow Zud, or follow Something Television, and you'll hear more from Zud. That's what Something Television looks like. You can subscribe at Something TV. You get some upbeat tunes like you're hearing right now. That is from, I think the audio we're hearing right now is from, this is a September show, also by Zud. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's a Zud show. Let's take a look, see. It's a 40-minute broadcast. Oh no, maybe this is, let's go to the beginning. The beginning will tell the story. Oh, yeah. No, this is one of my shows. Okay, this is a Brother Seamus episode, I think. Of course, Zud provides a ton of imagery and sound for Something Television, and he routinely, Zud will take over. And he's usually a little softer. That's more, here's more of a Zud sound right here. So follow Zud on Something Television. Follow Something Television, and then if you would, follow at Brother Seamus Show. Something Television is not, it expressly is not political, although sometimes it still leaks through, but the intention of Something Television is to just show live cinema. The intention of Brother Seamus, whether you agree with it or you don't, the intention is to get people thinking about human rights, about this thing people call social justice, about community service.
Hello, it's Cliff at the Kent County Road Commission.
Hello,
I just
Cliff.
want to thank you for the service that you're doing for free
Thanks for calling
On the
again.
internet, we've got a lot of guys out on the road right now clearing all the ice and snow so people can get home safely. And
You betcha.
the free entertainment and spiritual guidance that you're providing the citizens of Kent County is greatly appreciated. Thank you for drawing some recognition to all of that. And just want to let you know your YouTube signal is working correctly, and we are receiving it loud and clear. So again, keep up the good work, and God bless you, boys.
Well, thank you, Cliff. Thank you. That was lovely. And of course, don't forget Humans for Democracy, your source for mugs, for proud snowflake mugs and t-shirts that say Immigrants Make Great Americans. Down here we've got some older t-shirts, my anti-racist t-shirts. I'm not as happy with the design on this, but it still kind of works, you know. It's a good topic. Oh, that's what I want to finish the show by playing my new single. So it's going to be a little bit loud. So let me. Oh, that's not that loud. I'll turn it down just a smidge though, because I know some of you are trying to fall asleep. So I'm going to play my new single. It's called A Whole Head, and we're recording this under the name Ogopogo. And we'll let you know when it's out officially. All right. Let's put it into. Let's take that drumscape down and out. That is true. I really mean that. I would love a whole head. Head.